Okay, I'm doing this before because I forgot to do it in the review after watching and editing and everything. I realized I missed a couple parts. I kind of jumped around a little bit, and I do apologize for that, but I was trying to do an off-the-cuff review just like I always do. So first things first is the package. So the third Pro, well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, spoiler alert, third Pro is package, and it comes with this red dot, which is by CT. I'm not sure, I forget which company. Anyway, it's very dim. It's not that great. I mean, it looks like it's bright here, but it's dim. When it's in real life, it's very, very dim. Came with it, $750, all that stuff. So that was a part of the package, which is a little bonus, but it's a throwaway. So it's not really anything to write home about, but it's still nice. It was a nice little tidbit that was added in there. Part of the package was that, because I mentioned a lot of different things, but I forgot that one. So that, and then the nuance I forgot to mention was the nuance number 2 or number 3 was the ambidextrous mag release, because this was texturized. It was awesome to have it there. It is helpful to have an ambidextrous mag release for left-handed shooters. And it is an issue with this H&K CC9 for me. I would release the mag, and I did this one time with this firearm. Not a problem, because I got enough back onto the grip with my middle finger that I wouldn't depress the magazine release. It was a nuance, it wasn't a negative. It never would be, because of that. It's a feature that comes with the firearm, and I do appreciate that. We could always switch it out too. You don't have to keep this same mag release there. So that was just a nuance of the pistol, which wasn't a detractor from it. Okay, and anything else that I forgot, I'm sorry. I'll remember it in the 4.0C review, along with the comparison between the two. Enjoy the review. I took time to do this, and I really had a great time doing it. And one of my more, I think, better reviews with this Echelon comp. I just feel a little bit better. So yeah, enjoy, and we will see you at the next review series. U2 review. This is the 1,000-round review of the Springfield Armory Echelon comp. As you could tell from those 5 shots, just immaculate, beautiful shooting. I've had such a good time shooting this firearm. I was excited to shoot it. Let me go through the breakdown of the timeline really quick, because I did have preconceived notions coming into this because of my handling of it initially, and my anticipation, because I had watched reviews of other gun tubers doing this. So I was anticipating that this was going to be a very nice shooting for the price, for the performance, for the platform, for the class. I was expecting this to be a good shoot. Now that's an error on my part. I shouldn't have any expectations. I need to do my research, and I need to gather data as best as possible, but don't go into it too biased on either side, meaning like if I was too excited or I wasn't too excited, I should just meet in the middle, and that was my fault. So initially, I do apologize. I shouldn't have been too excited about it. It was well placed. I have to say, it was well placed, and I wasn't subconsciously thinking that it was going to be this good, but it turned out to be that good. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. If you see my other reviews, if you see my other episodes, you know what I do and a little bit of who I am. I'm not going to go into a whole backstory. that's for all the other episodes, because it's a lot. And I do appreciate, first and foremost, well, not first and foremost, but I do appreciate all of you who have stuck around and who know my platform, know my method, and how I shoot, how I review, what I do. 10 episodes, static shoot, varying differences, varying grains of ammunition, draw from waist or from side holster, just to feel the nuance, characteristics, and eccentricities of firearms, pistols, shotguns, rifles, all in a good time. Now, like I had mentioned, going back to the review, preconceived notions, not a bias, but I don't want to say misplaced excitement, but I shouldn't have had that. And I do apologize, because that wasn't my prerogative. When we're getting into this hobby of ours, we get excited about certain things because of what we have shot, what we look to shoot, and what others have shot before. And then also too, maybe we've handled these firearms inside of a gun store, didn't have the capital to purchase and shoot it, but it is what it is, and that's where I stand. That's what happened in this shoot. So it turned out to be great. The Springfield Echelon had just come out, I don't know, let's say 10 so years ago, and I'll make that correction in post somewhere around here. Yeah, this was amazing. I had a great time shooting it. I'm going to go through the three cons, the 3 pros, and then a couple of nuances. It's going to be a little bit different, because because of those preconceived expectations and anticipation, it wasn't what I expected initially, and then it grew into something else, which is another point of why I do what I do, is because I feel this arc a little bit with certain firearms. Ruger Max 9, the H&K CC9 was actually wonderful off the rip. Glock Gen 3, which I'm pretty sure I've shot before, but that was a big surprise to me, and I'll have that review at some point. But there have been firearms, basically what I'm saying is that it started out a certain way and then it changes into something. Now, not all the time has it changed into a negative, but I'd say a quarter of the time for the firearms that I have shot on the channel, they have turned out to be something even better. So this initial break-in period of 1,000 rounds, so let's face it, right? The 1,000 rounds is just a break-in, is just getting familiar with the firearm, and then you can trust it to do X, Y, or Z, or maybe just X or Y or A or B. Okay, enough of that. Enough of the initial, enough of the expectation, the platform. Let's get into the cons, the pros, and then the eccentricities. The first con with it is the slide stop. Now, when I first handled the firearm, I was like, where is it? I couldn't find it. It was very slim. It's nice because if you plan on carrying this as a duty gun or even concealed, which it's a little big for me for concealed, but the slide stop, as you can see, is very flush with the frame, with the slide. So it's a positive in that sense, looking at it from that perspective. But when I initially handled it, I was like, where is it? I can't find it. I can find it now, and it's very intuitive because it's right by your thumb, but it's different than a lot of the other firearms if you've handled semi-automatic pistols, where it's placed, and also the size of it. So that has changed, but it is something that I would change with an aftermarket part, which I have, but I haven't done it here, as this is a stock review. And I don't know if I will change it, because I am used to it. We'll see. I have that option there, and I will plan on doing it. But initially I was like, I didn't like that. I couldn't find it, and that was just a little negative for me. I would just like a little bit more, a little bigger bump, let's just say, it's just slightly, maybe 20% more, and so you can manipulate it easier or feel it a little bit better, I would say. That's just my take. I would like 20% more. That's it. Okay, second con for me, and I didn't nitpick this one for sure, the hexagonal screws for the Optic. Those bolts are hexes. If you can't see it, I don't know if it can focus in. Let me see. There it goes. Yep, they're hex. So That to me was, it was a nitpick for sure, but over time I have noticed, because I have stripped 1 or 2 of my optics, which by the way, I didn't use this optic. This optic is on, it came with the package, but I never used it. I used the iron sight, so this was never sighted in. I never worked on it, but I just left it there because I don't think I could find the plate to put on the Springfield. I don't know if it did have one on the slide. In any case, didn't use the optic, but I would like to have those optic bolts to be torque, not hex. They need to be Torx heads, because that's a lot more confident. It doesn't strip as easy. So that is definitely a little make a bind. Third one, where was this thing all this time? Springfield Armory. Just kidding. I couldn't think of a third one, so I thought it'd be funny to pull one that was just like, where have you been all my life? No, I'm kidding. This isn't, this isn't the one true love, my soulmate, right? But it is a very solid firearm. So the third, I'd say the third con for me, beaver tail. I was just scrounging all over the gun to find something that didn't really work for me in terms of a con, other than the slide stop. Beaver tail is pronounced, and you can't get up high enough, because then you won't be able to grip around the trigger. So there's no way you could get here and then try to pull. It's just uncomfortable as all heck. So you'd have to get around. The ergonomics and placement of the firearm lend to you just gripping the firearm very well. But I suppose you could have just a little bit, a little bit longer beaver tail, which I wouldn't make any big difference, because I never had any issues pulling it from the holster and then firing it. Yeah, even here I have a little bit higher grip, but it's not going to bite. Maybe if you had a little bit larger hand than mine, a little bit beefier mitt, then you'd encounter that. So just slightly a little bit longer, but that's the only other con I could find. Really searching for it, digging deep for this thing. All right, so with those cons out of the way, first con being the slide stop, second con being the hex bolts on the optic, and then the third con being the beaver tail, a little bit longer. Pros. First pro, texture. First thing I noticed when I picked up the firearm was the 360. If you know me, you know that I love 360 texture all the way around. If you don't have a 360 texture, then you need to have a texture all the way up to the slide, just about, which it also does have on both sides for your thumb and for your index finger to rest aside. That's amazing. And this is not too aggressive. It's just enough, just right, just like the Three Little Bears, right? Just enough there. Little touches of texture on the magazine release, which it does have an ambi, and that will be a nuance. It has texture underneath the trigger guard right here, and another little lip, which I love to have on that trigger guard out in the front, with texture out there. Has even a little texture on the guide rod, texture on it's got a little bump out for the gas pedal, another texturized takedown lever, which is also amazing. Texture on the other side. It's just got a texture on the base part of the slide plate, back slide plate, or whatever you would call it, and then even texture on the magazines. One here on the side, on the opposite side, and then on the front here. And then the 5 magazines that it came with 2 of these extended base plates all the way around, 360 degrees, and then the 3 regular size magazines. Pro number 1 is the texture. You're not going to drop this. It's so secure in your hands, and it was such a wonderful gun to hang on to fire. I had just an amazing time shooting. Now the accuracy was another thing, but that's my problem, not the firearm. So it gave me, and as you could tell, those 5 hits, it felt so good. It felt so good. So yeah, that texture is just amazing for pro number 1. Now the second pro is the grip, and I'm gonna put the grip now. Texture and grip, I suppose, is that all kind of winds up in the same bucket. But these things I'm going to note, because the grip for me, I'll spread it out in terms of where the grip resides. So when you're talking about the grip with your hand, your shooting hand, it's all there, right? The texture, the trigger guard, also the slide. The slide has significant cuts and serrations in it. They have even carved out a portion right before the ejection port where you could grab with, you know, 2 fingers or however you want to pull back, as well as, you know, doing the operator pull with the slide out front. Same thing, serrations. These are deep cuts. You can see how deep they are. And then they also has little, you know, just like up here, it has those cuts right here, right before the ejection port. It has these bolsters on the side where they cut in. You can grab and pull back even there. So these portions of the grip, as well as the texture on the actual grip itself when you're holding it, just make it a starting right before this. Like I said, when I held it inside the gun shop, I was like, wow, this feels so good. It just feels so right in your hand. So anyway, that's the amazing part about the firearm in terms of grip. And then of course when you shoot it, the grip hangs onto you, the texture grips into your hands and your fingers. So it is so confident in that, and that's a huge part, right? 100% huge part of it. I'd say at least good 60 to 70% of that shooting experience is that grip and that confidence. I presume that the 4.0C, which is another firearm I'd have to get, the compact version, will be the same way. And actually I just handled one yesterday, and yeah, it has all the same characteristics in terms of that grip and texture. Okay, so the last pro, so that second pro is the grip. The last pro for me is, yeah, the overall package. The overall package for this, I paid $750, which maybe a little bit higher, but for this full size 9mm duty pistol, duty carry, comp also. Comp, when I say comp, but it's ported, which I do think that did help a little bit. But again, I don't have a frame of reference because I haven't shot the non-ported version, which I will, but it's going to be the compact, so it's not going to be a 1-to-1 necessarily. But the overall package was $750. Came with a soft case, which I think they all come with anyway, so that doesn't really count. But it came with 5 magazines, and these 5 magazines were 10 rounds. And so those 10 round magazines, you know, still you're getting 5 of them. And you can get other packages like this for $750 that have higher or normal capacity magazines, but I had 10 round magazines. Anyway, they can come with 5 17 round magazines, I think, and then 3 17, and then 2 a little bit higher than 17 capacity magazines. So that is wonderful. So for $750, comes with the Picatinny, all these different feature sets that it comes with everything for $750. And then out of the box shooting, the shooting experience out of the box is, yeah, it is well, to start with, for me, I had to get my bearings with the sights, the iron sights. I was still struggling even at 600 and 700, but until now, where I have a very good grasp of where the iron sights are at 10, 15, 20, 17 yards distance, it was, you know, it was a little bit of a challenge for me, but that's just me, not the firearm, because everything else, it works extremely well. So those are the 3 pros and 3 cons. The third one being the entire package. The entire package altogether has everything you want, from the texture, the grip, Picatinny, Optic, port, magazines, price, and then the performance, which, like I said, the performance for me was, it's going to be a nuance for me, because even though it was a wondrous firearm to shoot, I had my own issues with the accuracy, which is no problem of the firearm. It is me. That's why it's not a pro or a con. I mean, it is a pro for sure, because I did feel so good shooting the firearm because of everything about it, but because I was not accurate as I would like, because going back through the footage, in the moment you feel really nice. You're like, wow, this shoots really well, but you're not keeping track of how many hits within, you know, a certain inch grouping that you're keeping track of until after in post. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, wasn't that accurate? I mean, I would have hit something, but it wasn't too accurate. So the first nuance for me is the trigger. The trigger started out, I like the trigger. I love the trigger, the stock trigger that it has. Take up is right there. There's the wall. And I have done this demonstration before. Barely any forgiveness. And then, okay, there's one little squish. Break. Now the reset, it can barely hear it. You can barely hear that reset. I would like it to be a little bit more tactile, give a little bit more feedback like some of the other pistols. That's a nuance though, because I got used to it and it works extremely well. So that trigger it's nice and flat faced when you pull back on it, and then that break is wonderful. There is just enough forgiveness, and if you don't know what that is, that's just that's another way of me saying that squish, or that little play within the trigger from the wall to the break. For a duty pistol, for an EDC, I would like to have that type of forgiveness, and I have a whole philosophy on that I gave, I think, in my Canik Metz MC9 Prime review, because I got a lot of downvotes for the take I had on the trigger, which was a con, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, that little trigger is a nuance for me. And then another nuance is the shooting we talked about, and we'll take a couple other shots, and there's no problem with it, but for me it was just, I had to find my footing with the accuracy, and that's no problem with the firearms. It was just, and this is kind of not a hot take because it is something just nuanced for me. I just need to get better. Although there have been firearms where I have picked them up for the first time, I have shot for the first time, and I've been on it every single time, and those firearms will be coming up. But this one took me a second to get into, and it was not a problem. It was a kind of a frumpy sort of like, darn, I suck instance, but again, nothing wrong with the firearm in that sense. It's just me and getting used to, like when you start a new job, let's just say, for instance, when you start a new job, you're really excited because you wanted the job, the pay is good, the location is great, the hours are awesome, your coworkers are good, but then just trying to get into the mix of that flow and the workflow and the daily dealings that you have with that job, it takes a minute, right? Some jobs you get in and you're great, but the pay's not good, the location's terrible, and whatever, it didn't give you great benefits or whatever, but you work so well with it. So there's all these different characteristics that can be, good or bad. And for this one, everything met my wants or what I needed, from the texture to the price to the all of the characteristics were there. But then shooting, as you could tell, I missed 2 shots. It's on it, but it's also not, and that's just me trying to integrate with the firearm. And some of them, it's just like walking, right? You're one foot in front of the other and you can do it. But this one took a minute. And that's just a nuance. No issue there. My take, my opinion, awesome. I really, really recommend anybody who shoots to experience the Echelon. It'll be another great firearm like the Ruger RXM that is within the class of a striker fire and a Glock contender. I would say like the Smith & Wesson M&P, this Springfield Armory Echelon, the Ruger RXM, and I know I'm forgetting a couple, but these are the big standouts that are comparable in price, more or less, and you get so much for your money. My take is that definitely get out and try it. Just try and shoot it. You have somebody that and it may not be everything that I'm making it out to be right now, but because I've shot so many firearms and I will be shooting so many, I'll always come back to the ones that stand out in terms of their performance, how they feel, the price, and everything that comes with it. So I consider all these things as I'm going through and shooting these pistols, like, well, it doesn't shoot that great, but it's only $100. So if you need something to throw at somebody, you've got that, and you can pay like next to nothing for it. But then if you have something that costs $3,000 and it's a bolt action basically, well then, man, I'd rather take that $100 one that can at least throw rounds down range. So that's, yeah, anyway, my take is I I think that this is definitely something that everybody should just at least test to shoot, to just give it a shot, just like the Ruger RXM, which I'll get to soon, and the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, which also I'll get to. These are wonderful, wonderful pistols, and this one really surprised me, and I came into it incorrectly, and I do apologize again. I came into it incorrectly, but it met the expectations and exceeded a little bit too. I was very, very happy, and I'm very happy, very excited to do more with this. Not do too much to change it, because it works just as it is. Can't wait to get that 4.0C. If you have shot your Springfield Echelon, and thank you all of you that have commented. Everybody has been so wonderful, and you're awesome for being here. I get chills because I'm so humbled, you know, knowing where I come from and all the years that I've lived in. Back in my day, you know, it's been a great journey to get here, and it's been a great journey since I've been here and started. So thank you so much for giving your input, and please let me know. Don't be afraid to start a conversation of any firearm at any time. It doesn't derail whatsoever, because they're all connected. Everything's connected. We're all connected. We're just big community. We're all here for the same thing. So drop a line, let me know. I'm gonna start out the new review tomorrow for the next 10 episodes. And this was awesome. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, share, comment, recommend, wash your ass, all that jazz. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Aim for center mass, wash your ass, pick up your brass, say hi to your mom for me.